Hello everyone, and welcome back. We're going to go over all of the changes that happened to Prot Warriors specifically now, and find out exactly where we are. Despite the fact that this patch looked like a huge nerf, we're actually in a very good place, and if anything, I think we've been buffed by these changes. So the first place to start is our talent tree. So let's go over every single talent choice, what we have, and what's competitive, what the purpose of it is. So in the first tier, I still particularly like Shockwave. However, Warbringer is bringing a lot of attention. A lot of people are choosing Warbringer because it still has the interrupt of a stun, but it has a lot more damage, so it allows you to run mythic pluses a lot faster because of that damage. So I would recommend either Shockwave or Warbringer depending on your playstyle. In tier 2, Inspiring Presence is still the number one choice, especially if you're in a raid. However, if you're doing LFR or just pugs, I would personally recommend Impending Victory. I do like having the ability to heal myself and not depend on whenever the healer is going to get around to me, but that's just my preference. In tier 3, every single one of these is viable. Basically, this is going to give you a DPS increase. Renewed Fury works really well if you pick up Vengeance and Devastator talent point. Best Serve Cold is a huge increase to the ability that deals the most damage for you at the time being, so Best Serve Cold is going to help you a lot in 5-mans. And Avatar is going to be more bursty and help you DPS more in focus scenarios, as well as get you out of a snare. So think trying to one-phase Il'gynoth or trying to get out of the brambles in Cenarius fight. Avatar can come in handy in either one of those two situations. I'm going to go ahead and pick Avatar because it has a little bit more utility than the other two, just because the other two are straight DPS, but every single one of these is completely viable now. In tier 4, we have Bounding Stride and Crackling Thunder. They're both really good. Bounding Stride helps cut time down in Mythic Plus runs by making you more mobile, and Crackling Thunder helps you pick up more mobs, especially if you're in pug groups where the DPS is pulling for you, or a Hunter's Barrage goes and pulls for you, and it also really helps out with chain pulls, giving you a larger AoE aggro radius. In tier 5, Devastator is the number one talent point right now, and it actually beats out Abominable by a little bit, but only if you play it by the book. Now we'll go over a little bit more in depth on how Devastator works and what you need to be looking for, but basically, if you're not comfortable using Devastator by the book and really looking at your swing speed, then Indomitable is a very viable choice, and actually playing Devastator incorrectly is more detrimental than just picking up Indomitable. If you also need more effective health, like to survive spears from Odin or something that just takes a huge chunk of life out of you, then Indomitable is going to be a much better choice than Devastator. Devastator just gives you more rage per rotation that you do, while Indomitable gives you more survivability. One other thing to note with Devastator is it works best when you pick up the Vengeance talent point, which is coming up. In tier 6, we have Vengeance, which is really great, especially if you pair it with the extra rage and extra procs from Devastator. Into the Fray is viable if you're missing a ton of haste, but I would only really suggest it in 5-mans. It's only good for trash, but it's probably the lesser of these talent points. And the last talent point is Booming Voice, which is going to be really good for those people running Mauve Souls +2. They have it on farm. If you're over geared and you really want to push out a lot more DPS, Booming Voice is going to help you clear trash a lot faster. So if you're not worried about survivability, then you can go with Booming Voice. In the last tier, Heavy Repercussions is definitely still the go-to talent point for survivability. Again, if you're running Mauve Souls +2, you have it on farm. If you're running something that you're over geared for, then you can definitely pick up Ravager or Anger Management. They're going to help you put out a lot more DPS. As far as which one helps out a lot more, it depends if you have certain legendaries or not. These two talent points are reserved for DPS only, while Heavy Repercussions is reserved for survivability. So if you're pushing content and you're not sure about your survivability, Heavy Repercussions is still the way to go. Now let's go over stat weights and how they really affect us nowadays, since they did get nerfed. The big thing to note is that haste is still king. Basically, the lowest amount of haste you're going to want from now on is 30%. 35% ideally is what you really want to be able to get that shield block at 100% uptime. And the reason why haste is still king and our number one priority with gear is the simple fact that haste helps us generate more rage by fishing for more procs. And if we have more rage, we're going to be able to cast more Ignore Pains and shield blocks in order to keep ourselves alive. So haste is really a survivability stat by helping us generate more of our resource. The general consensus for survivability for tanking right now is that haste is number one, followed by mastery, followed by versatility. However, mastery and versatility are very close together. If you have an item level discrepancy and the one with versatility is better, you can go ahead and keep that instead. But mastery outweighs versatility by a very small amount. It's just better in more scenarios. So we have haste, mastery, versatility, and crit. Again, mastery and versatility, almost the same stat, except mastery barely edges out. Now, if you're overgeared and you're going to be running Mythic Plus carries and you don't really care about the survivability, you can go with haste as your first stat, followed by crit to actually put out more damage, followed by mastery and versatility. So now it benefits us to keep two different sets of gear. If you do get some gear with nice haste and crit, you can basically use that when you're not too worried about your survivability and you know that you outgear whatever it is that you're running. Now, in terms of our rotation, it's still pretty similar from last time I went over it. Basically, Shield Slam has priority, followed by Thunderclap, followed by Revenge, followed by Devastate. Now, if you did pick up Vengeance and Devastator, your rotation is going to be a lot more intense in terms of when to use what, and I'm going to be going over that in a later video. I think that deserves its own video. It's very intense in terms of what you need to do to play ideally. But for a simple rotation, your priorities are Shield Slam to Thunderclap to Revenge to Devastate. While this is going on, you're going to want to keep Shield Block as close to 100% up as possible and dump all of your extra rage into Ignore Pain. Now, I know the patch just dropped, but there are some people very hard at work by developing WeakAuras that are really going to help us out. You can see one of them here that helps me track Vengeance. It lets you know the ideal time to cast Revenge and to cast Ignore Pain. Knowing when exactly to cast these spells is a little math intense, so for this video I'm trying to keep it a little shorter. If you want the WeakAuras and you want to read up on exactly what's going on and why this WeakAura is telling you to do what it's doing, I'm going to go ahead and have a lot of links down below. One of them is going to go over the Vengeance talent point, the Vengeance WeakAura. One is going to go over the Devastator talent point, a WeakAura for Devastator as well, and some additional resources that are going to help you overall look at Prot Warriors. If you don't want to wait for my video covering Indomitable and Devastator and exactly what to do and how to maximize your Devastator talent point, then you can go ahead and read that information down below. There are some very talented people that did all of this research over on the Discord. So please, the description of this video is going to contain a lot of resources. If you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and ask me. I'll try to help out as much as possible in the comment section, but WeakAuras are going to be needed if you're going to be running Vengeance or Devastator talent point. So again, if you have any additional questions, go ahead and ask me down below, or ask me on Twitter, or go ahead and ask one of these very talented people over on Discord. They've been very hard at work today. I've seen a lot of the higher ups, a lot of the big theory crafters have been online most of Tuesday, just going over every single change with everyone, answering all the questions. So that does it for this video. The future of Prot Warriors is looking very promising. I hope we don't get nerfed again because I'm having a lot of fun running Vengeance and Devastator. We're putting out a lot more damage. In my very early test right now, I've been putting out about 100 to 120k more damage as a tank. So we're in a very good place. I know the nerfs hit us hard on our stat sheet, but beyond that, we're actually doing really well. So that does it for this video. Next video is going to be a little more intense. Get out there, get your WeakAuras installed, start tanking, start preparing for Nighthold. One little last thing I wanted to add to this video is a huge thank you to everybody who's part of this growing community, everyone who has joined me in this YouTube journey right now. This is my 100th video that I've uploaded so far on this channel. So again, a huge thank you to all my supporters, everybody who comes to the live streams, is very active in the comment section down below, tweets at me. Thank you so much. And as always, good luck tanking out there.